Uh, One of the things to consider when we speak about going to space is what do we define the space as? And what do we see or what we consider as a space? We take a space in our physical body on this planet, and at the same time, within the structure of our physical body, there is another dimension of life which we call the soul of the man. And even though it lives within the space dimensions of the body of the man, has its own life and has its own line of communication. And what we define space, going to space, we already know the inner sanctum or the creator of our physicality travels the depth of the universe, has been the space travel all the time, has a line of communication with other parts of us, be it through dream we call it, or through subconscious, some people they call it, or we have the choice that physically move the physicality with its soul. In a way, we have a bird caged in the physicality of the body of man, and that bird is called the soul of the man. We can open that cage and let it loose at the point of death. When the operation of this cage rots away, and it cannot hold together, and this beautiful bird becomes free. Still, it takes life in the universal dimension because it has a life. It exists on its own. Or we can carry the cage in a box and take it anywhere. I can take a bird cage in the car, I can take a bird cage in my hand and walk around the park. It doesn't change the entity and existence of that bird. It's still a bird, still sings, still communicates with other birds in the park. And this is how our soul is. So we give option. Those who understand the process of the creation can take that cage, that bird, out of the cage and free it, because we trusted it come back in. It's very much when you have a parrot at home, you open the door, you let him fly around the house, and he comes back again and he goes in the cage. Because you trust it. It knows that's where it belongs to. And this is the process that we have made an option to man. The soul of the man is that bird, but is encaged in physicality of body of man. And for the first time, man knows, man can see that it's him who hasn't trusted the bird to be freed. And it has come the time that he does not need to see the cage to break up, to rust, that the bird can fly out, or by accident open the cage's door is open and the bird flies out. That accident is when we die on the street. The bird cage opens up. That bird still gets freed. But now we are teaching how the man has control over this door of the cage. And he trusts that the soul will come back to the body. Or the bird will stay, that it can create that atmosphere of the home, the cage. This is the problem we have, and this is what we call it different ways of traveling. But to be able to free that bird without accident, or when the cage cracks, rust, and we call it death, we are teaching how to be able to control, to trust that that bird, when we release it, can come home, or can make a home that we can go to. When my children were young, um, 4 or 5 years old, they wanted a bird, a cockatoo. I bought them a cockatoo. And this bird in the cage was very young, few weeks old when we got him. And we used to let it free in the house. He knew he goes back in and he sleeps there and he lays egg there. And it came to the point, because of the diseases carried, we had to, the doctors told us, this bird cannot stay in the house because it's causing problem in the house, health problems. So we decided that we love the bird. We didn't want to let it go, it was part of us. So we decided if we let it free, it will die, because he didn't know how to look after himself because he was hand fed. We decided we'd take him to a sanctuary, and we give it to a sanctuary to be kept. We carried the cage across a park, and as we were walking to go to the sanctuary in the park to be given to them, an old lady saw us. She says, "Oh, what a beautiful bird." We said, "We have a problem, we love him, but if you leave him here, we don't know if you see him." She says, "I'll look after it, give it to me. You can come and see it anytime you like." And it was just like a gift. So we got the old lady in the car, we went to her house, we put the cage there, we showed them how to look after the bird, and the bird was free again in the room. And every now and then, children said, "Papa, can we go and see him?" So we called the lady, we go and see him, and the bird is there. And it was a new home, it was our home. And this is how the soul of the man should be. Is trusting that where he goes, he can make a home for us. So in this process, we are teaching different ways of freeing the bird or carrying the cage. The bird is still there. If you want to carry a cage and go somewhere, you get in the car. That's your spaceship. Still the cage is there and the bird inside. The cage is the body of the man and the bird is the soul of the man. Because we haven't trusted that we get the bird back, we carry the cage in the spaceship. Or there is another line of teaching, which is the understanding the structure of the cage, that you can make the cage not to rot, that then it frees the bird, but it can open up and you can carry the bird is free, you don't need to fuel it, you don't need to do anything, it travels the space of the room, the space of the garden, the space of the city, and it comes back home again. In a way, when we teach about the soul of the man, is in getting the man to trust himself. And to trust himself, he has to become detached. He has to come detached from physicality, detached from the wealth, detached from everything else. That the wealth is within me, not belonging to me. And this is where every man makes a mistake. In many of the teachings I have referred, if you understand that you can put the soul of the man to act with the soul of physicality of the man, you can make anything you like. The soul of the man is the sun, and the soul of physicality in the palm of the hand of the man is the earth. You move it in the direction, you create water, you create food, but you don't need to have it. It creates the energy that the physicality of the man can absorb. We give the earth in the hand, in the palm of the man. He creates what he needs, he takes what he needs from it. Then, if you understand this, you allow the soul of the man to carry the soul of the physicality of the man with it, and whenever it comes, it makes that hand, that palm, 1,000 meter, 1 meter, in a cage of physicality or in a cage of non-dimension. So, it's not methods of flight, It's the method of man understanding his own potential, his own grace. So, because we have so many people who are so physically attached, we teach about the spaceship for years. This is what it was. They still wanted to see they can get into something. But, as I said, I teach for the universe, not for the man. What we teach in the dimension of soul of the man, many travelers of the universe which hear the soul of me are educated, they understand what they missed. But as this is the last time we bring a messenger on earth, we teach everything for mankind to carry. All the rules are in the book. There shall be no more messages. It's for man to translate knowledge. Scientifically, and then through the understanding of the soul of the man. What we call theology, ethics. Ethics of using the science in a way that does not harm no one, but it implies and applies the survival of the others. I was talking about this a few days ago, that there is a paper written by me, the station of the scientist as a prophet. The prophets we call Muhammad, Christ or anybody, are for the soul of the man, conduct of the behavior. Scientists like beautiful Tesla and others are to elevate the same, but the physicality of the man. This time we have put the two together in one go, then there is no difference. We teach the ethics, the soul conduct and physicality. It's for the man to understand where the two merge and when it's needed to be done. The totality which counts, not the individuality. What you can serve counts, not what serves you. So, in this way, if you are physical, we have given you the spaceship, all these reactors. If you have moved in the dimension of understanding part of it, you have the dynamic system, you get some energies, you put a glass of water, you mix the energy and something else together, you're still the camel bird. You put the orange, take the energy, but you still want that the physicality that you're doing something with it, you drink the water. And for the soul of those who understand the totality, then they don't need the cage. They're the free bird. And this is the essence of all the teaching. It's not different ways of flight, it's understanding the existence of the universe. Then, if you travel with a spaceship, who do you see? The citizens of the universe in a physical dimension. If you travel with the soul that you can create the physicality, you take that out of the equation. You travel, but you know you have connection with everybody. It's very much, as I said once, it's like you get off out of London and you go to New York. You're there on your own, but you still pick your phone and speak to the family in London. It's not finished. Now, the soul of the man, given the man the same opportunity. We teach for the time to come. And we teach from now till that time to come. And that time comes, is not anymore the end of the world, something will happen. It's the maturity of the one's understanding of his own creation.
Welcome everyone to the 284th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 11th, 2019. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education, part of the Public Teachings in English. I'll be your host today, Rick Cramond, along with Flint Melhausen. And of course, we're joined with Mr. Miran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and I believe he's ready to go with today's workshop presentation. Mr. Keshe, are you there? Well, we're not hearing you yet. I think you need to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, it's a bit weak. Maybe go ahead.
Yes.
That's good. Other than the echo, yes.
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these teachings. Just gonna switch over and see if we can stick. We start in a way of learning more, understanding more. And today we might have a lot of problems with our communication lines. They seem to be playing up, and there seem to be a lot of pressure on lines that we might get cut off. And at the moment we are used to this in past few weeks, we get this quite often. And we'll see, we switch between 2 or 3 systems to keep you well.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is that okay?
It seems a little weak maybe, but go ahead.
We
that's
go,
good.
yeah, as I told you, we have a problem with one of our systems, so we get cut off quite often. In the process of understanding the technology, we have endeavored in many ways to extend our knowledge beyond what we ever thought was possible we could understand. We endeavor to understand more than we thought we are capable to understand. And in that process, many of us have got enlightened. We came to understand more capabilities of ourselves in every aspect. We can understand more the work of our soul. We can understand more the work of our physical dimension. We can understand the totality of, to the limit of our comprehension of the extent of our life. For the first time, mankind has been given a choice that he can develop to live in any dimension. This is what we were not aware of. This is what we try to extend the knowledge into. That we are capable, we have the potential, we are worthy of understanding the totality. And to what extent we can understand. We structure our knowledge according to what we've been taught up to now. I've done mathematics, I know calculation, or I'm a doctor, I don't know about physics. And we pigeonholed ourselves according to the knowledge we pretended to know. Now with this technology and now with understanding of this technology, the pigeonhole has gone, is only one hole, and that's the knowledge of plasma, knowledge of creation. And now we see we are capable of everything. We can make something to create energy, and tomorrow my child is sick, I use the same thing to get rid of his headache. The day after, I'm planting a tree and I want to grow, I plant a tree and put some gas in it. The day after, I want something else. And we suddenly have become master of knowledge. We don't need to go to a pharmacy, we don't need to go to a uh, agriculture shop to buy a fertilizer or whatever. We are gathering knowledge, and this is the first stages of it, that gradually most of you knowledge seekers are becoming masters, because you have taken the limitation of your understanding, because now you understand a lot of it. Now nobody needs to tell you what you don't understand and what is not there. You're not a doctor, you're not a chemist, you're not a farmer, you're everything. And this is what the man has to be in the space. And this is the whole target of all these teachings. As I said from the beginning of time, the last man standing. You decide your life in the depth of space. And in so many ways, if you go a step further, take your knowledge to another level, it comes to the point in the maturity of time and knowledge and space that even I decide how to manifest myself. And this is the beauty of the new knowledge. Not only when you appear in the dimension of physicality, in that dimension, because the knowledge you carry through your soul decides how you're going to dress yourself, how you're going to present yourself. And for the first time, man does not need clothing to wear to present, manifest itself in any dimension in the universe, because he decides through the knowledge of the soul what is appropriate, how I want to be. And this is a major breakaway from all the knowledge we had up to now. Up to now, we want to go to a party, we go and buy a party dress. We want to go to work, we buy a work suit. We want to go swimming, we buy a swimming. Now we change position from one galaxy to another, from one space to another. We decide how in that space we're going to present ourselves. We have become the controller, we have become the producer, we have become the manifester of the reality of our physicality. And this is where these teachings are going. As I said in one of the private teachings today, this week, a lot of you listen to me many times, and I refer to what we call the Messiah. We are all Messiahs. We all found the answer. We always found the answer to our souls, to our physicality. But there is one line of the teaching which many of you will understand in due time, in due course, and that is, what is the purpose of all these teachings? When now we know there is a creator, now we know we have a soul, and somehow we have to make a link between the two. And this is why we are here. And we said we are the messengers of the soul of the man. The link between the creator and the soul of the man. And all these teachings is to guide mankind through his soul to become part of the creator, not for him to make electricity or gas or whatever. We live because now we decided our soul to manifest itself on this planet. And as there's old say, it says, if you don't want to be embarrassed, be like the others are. In Farsi, we have a beautiful saying, it's means if you don't want to be embarrassed, you better look like everybody else. There's no use going to a fancy dress party in an office suit. It doesn't fit. It doesn't work. And so when you come to this point, you understand the whole purpose of our teaching. The whole purpose of these teachings past years and in bringing so many messengers has been to teach man and to bring us to the final position that we are here to take the soul of the man to meet the soul of the Creator. And that's all it is. You call it in Christianity in the name of Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We are the Holy Spirit. Connection between the two. Messengers of physicality have completed their jobs. Now that we teach and we understand the soul, we cannot teach the soul because its soul understands totality about don't do this, there's a punishment there, there's no. It's just showing the path of the soul to the soul of the Creator. And that is being part of the soul of Creator in reaching the hand out to call, to guide the soul of the child home. Then you can exist in any dimensions in the creation, in the world of existence. And in so many ways, the job is complete if man understands how to reach, to access, to become part of the soul of the Creator. I've done my job. I've shown the path. In so many ways, we still teach everything else because so many have to be guided home. And in the same way, as you become home, as you become part of home, then is where you entertain guests and friends. In a way, you become part of, to look after those who become or start the process where mankind started millions of years ago, till that has reached the point of maturity of understanding the totality today. We still teach more for you to understand more. We still go more in depth of teaching how you can do things to make your physical life comfortable. But in reality, gradually, as we progress in the coming weeks, we show you the path to home. Last year, as I said, I started with teaching about the soul. We had a year of teaching. We had a year of you trying to understand the soul. Now we enter why we had shown you to understand how this machine works. Now you have to put it to its test. Now you have to take it home. And there's only one driver for this car, and that's you. And you've got to understand that the soul of the man carries the totality of the knowledge of the Creator, not part of it. Now you understand, when mankind becomes kind to himself, he will understand the purpose of all teachings. That's why in the teachings, we always taught you about the Messiah. You are the Messiah of your own soul. You have to understand the totality of the work of your own soul, nothing else. That's the only thing you had to do. And now that you understood, It's our job to show you home. It is not that I have come to take you to see with your soul planet Zeus, or I'll take you to another galaxy. When you become part of the Creator, you are in every dimension of its creation. And this is the job. This is why we become messengers, we become the soul of the man and not of the physicality. Even though we had to come in one way or another to get your attentions. It was the only way we could keep the children of man entertained, that they could learn. As I said always in my teaching, physics has to be fun. And the fun was making gases, making space units, making maglev units, get entertained, little by little, teaching about the soul. And now you always believe in Father Christmas. And then you mature and say, oh, there is no Father Christmas. It's me. It's Papa who brings everything and he puts it and it says Father Christmas. And now we have come to that point that man has to mature to understand the job, the purpose of all the teaching is to bring the soul of the man to understand the soul of his creator. And through understanding of that, to become part of that, in that process, it becomes the creator. And this is more or less part of the cycle complete. And as you know, I never show all my hand. It's the easiest way. Because mankind is so immature, he's happy with a little bit to play with. As long as I'm busy, it's okay with me. Progressive understanding of the soul of the man. But you have to remember, whatever man has learned in the time of his time, be it part of this planet, be it part of the universe, will carry that with his soul to become the knowledge of the Creator and not his. In a way, the soul of the man at the point of maturity, which is now, takes everything he has seen in the process of getting to this point, from the point of separation from the soul of the Creator to the point of going back to, is just like reporting back and putting more knowledge in the library of the Creator that is there to be, to understand what those in the future, in the process of creation, can use, can be shared with. And this is our job. We are not messiahs. Never Mehdi. They've done the job. They've been and gone. Christ, return of Christ is completed long time ago. We are here to take the soul of the man to the ultimate point of becoming the unification with soul of the Creator. And that's my job. And there is no name for us in the vocabulary of the man. You were looking to call Mehdi, you were looking to call return of Christ. All past, go back, look, 200 years ago. And we assume the man is matured by now, that is ready to leave the understanding of the physicality and understand the connection and the path to the, what we call understanding that is part of the totality in the dimension of the Creator, and is not something on its own. And if you understand this, now you understand why, as I repeat, you're all messiahs and you're all Mehdis and the rest of it, because you have matured to the point of the maturity of the physicality. Now we have matured in one term, the soul of the man. And it's for man to connect the two together. In a way, he has a bigger job. He has to move from the dimension of his physicality to the dimension of his soul and understand his soul path to his creator who led to his creation. And that's what we are. We are the path. We are the torchbearers, in a way, keeping light that the soul of the man can find his way home. And this is what goes back to the beginning of the teachings. We are called the universal messengers. We understand the totality of the creation. And if you look in my teachings, I have shown you everything, any subject we go in depth, we can put in. We carry the library of the knowledge of the universe in the dimension of physicality. And what man knows about knowledge of physicality is so simple. You haven't even understand the totality of the work of higher level of physicality. But man has that talent, that gift, that he can jump that barrier and then with it decide. And in the teachings in the past few weeks, I gave a lot of hints to this point of today. That we wash our hand from being a child and maturing to the soul. This, what we teach today, it'll take you hundreds of years to understand the totality of it in the time of the man. And maybe in one instance you all mature. It's just that if the soul of the man reaches to the point of maturity. And as I said, um, we start teaching about the path to the creator for the soul of the man to find its way. And it will be done in a very, very slow pace, because there's a lot of things left in the dimension of physicality, in the operation of the soul of the man, how to handle it, that we can come to the other points. How you don't let the soul of the man to disintegrate. Because if it's not understood, he will lose his path, he will lose his physicality, and he loses, in a way, the containment of himself. In so many ways, man should have understood how his soul breaks up, breaks open, and how it reaches separation in its dimension of physicality. You have not understood fully the operation of the motion of the fields, because when it comes to the dimension of understanding the path to the creator, to the soul of the man, now that we start guiding you, you have to understand what are the limitations. What are the limitations? How you break free from the dimension of physicality. How you allow yourself to mature. How do you feed yourself from the shackles of physicality? How do you repair the physical condition? The time of medicine and herbs and operation is over. If you understand the dimension of the soul of them. In the coming weeks, you will see systems which feed only, repairs only the physicality through the dimension of the soul. We reach that point that it can be done. In so many ways, when we do this, then what is the expectation of man from being here? What is the expectation of the man in the dimension of physicality? When I stood in front of the machine yesterday, I said, the man has a spaceship, the man has a system of elevating his soul, and the man has a system to repair his physicality, all in one system. Now, when you see this technology. When you understand the technology, then you will see the system becomes part of you, that becomes a part of the containment of the soul of the man, and then through it becomes the freedom of the soul of the man in the dimension of the direction of the soul of the creator. Many of you, as I was explaining to a knowledge seeker in the last few days, have not even understand how you lose your life in the physical dimension. How the what you call ganses in a given temperature condition connects to containment of the soul of the man. I was explaining to a knowledge seeker this week, and I said, I have to remember to explain, because you now understand. It's a very simple thing. In a physical dimension, we get the temperature. The doctors tell us you pass 42 and a half, 43, maybe 44. If you get to it, you will have permanent brain damage. Means your brain cells will somehow misfunction. And we see physical damage to the brain. What does this has meant to the man up to now? We didn't know it was just a brain cell. But now we know that brain cell is made from the plasma of what we call Mr. Cohen. And its connection to the other materials, whatever we might call them. But why temperature of 43, 44 creates that separation? That what we call the shock. You can go and everything else and the cell disappears or gets dissolved or whatever name you put to it. Those of you who understood the process of gas production, understanding gravitational magnetic field, the strength of it, it's very simple. You add 12 plus 1 plus 16 plus 14. What do you get? 43. Variation of up and down, 44, 45, 42, 36, 35. Then you understand why 43, 44 temperature is important in the existence of the amino acid connection with the rest of the parts of the body of the man in the brain of the man. This gives you a guideline. Our temperature of coherent existence is connected by mass, if you call it, to Mr. Cohen. 43 degrees, 43 for Mr. Cohen. This should explain a lot in a dimension where you see what we talked last week, amino acids, which land and can stand 7,000 degrees temperature or minus 700 degrees temperature. When the brain cell dies or we get whatever we call in the body of the man, Mr. Cohen stays but breaks link with what is the constituent of it. If we look in the center of the brain of the man, there is a magic number. What is calcium? Brick. You have the periodic table.
Hey, let me have a look at that, Mr. Keshe.
You're not very far from 42, 43, are you? With all its isotopes. And we know the center of the life of every amino acid is the calcium. When the environmental movement of the fields balances between the two, you get the separation. Then you don't have life. You go back to amino acid and the calcium in magnetic field. And if you understood this temperature gap, I can hear you back, Rick.
Yes, the calcium would be 40 in terms of its weight.
Wait. Then you understand why some animals can stand higher temperature. And they can survive. Or they can stand higher pressure and they can survive. Or they can stand lower pressure and lower temperature, because it's a condition of atmospheric condition of this planet. If you can create a corridor that field can transfer and the two can keep their existence, then you keep life, become independent of the pressure and temperature. In so many ways, when we look at the structure of the animals who can stand different pressure and temperatures, it means they have created a system that allows this temperature to bypass, even though the integrity of the life stays together. And the only way that life can exist and holds to in the condition of any amino acid, considering amino acid to be the basic structure of the recognition and repetition of life anywhere in the universe, it dictates to you that there has to be the body of the man, the shell of the shrimp, at minus pressures huge or temperatures high, has to be a nanomaterial which can bypass everything, that the heat does not get within. Every nanomaterial does not need to be a shell. It can be layer of a skin. And a layer of a skin comes from the interaction of the three different strengths of amino acid in respect to the fields of their environment. This is important for you to know, because what happens if your soul appears at that internal volcano with 7,000 degrees or 1,000 degrees and 10,000 meter below the sea, or in the middle of the universe, minus 14 bar and minus 273 or 1,000 degrees, or whatever you can measure. How do you create the condition that on the point of manifestation in a physical condition, you still keep the soul intact? That through the information and the existence of the soul, you can manifest the physicality of the man or the entity. Would you be called a man on planet Zeus if you appear, or would they see you as another one of themselves? Then it goes back to the knowledge which we shared, and we said how the little reptile, when you take his tail off, it grows it back, because he controls the heat, he controls the pressure, at that point, true dimension of his need to exist to keep the soul and physicality together. If an animal has managed to do this, it should not be hard for the man to do the same if he understands the process. In a dimension of physicality, in a dimension of manifestation, you always need, as we said, three layers. In the skin of the man, we call it the inner, the middle, and the top layer. But if you look at it, there is a soul of the man. How do you convert the soul to manifest itself in the dimension of physicality? And airtight, radiation tight, watertight. Then you come to understand at the point of manifestation of the soul of the man needs to create layers of fields, release energies at different intervals, regular understanding is connected to my soul. I want to take the environment of it. I want to be able to regulate it. I want to be attached to my soul. Then you create the service. Then you, whatever the environment gives you, you manifest yourself. The environment manifests yourself on earth as a man, on planet Zeus as whatever shape you might be. And when you want to go, you take one at a time back in, and that's how you move your home. In the body of the man, these layers, these conditions are created by the soul of the man and the circulation of the blood of the man. What soul radiates and what materials you put in, and how the soul of the man creates its field dictates what emotions, we call it, created. And if we can get direct through between the soul and the emotion of the soul of the physicality of the man, we call it a stroke, a short circuit. This strength, and this strength in the farther distance, as I said before, is for the physicality because it's changed the direction. This one and this one is your emotion of love. This one and this one is connection between your physical life and the soul. You call it a dream. And when it comes closer, the controller is the soul of the man. The closer you become more of the soul. The further you go towards the blood, what we call the circulation of the emotion, you go towards the matter of the manifestation of physicality of the man. And if you want to take the step further, very simple. You learn through the GANS boxes and amino acids how to make your blood. This blood does not coagulate, stays in the GANS condition because it has not reached the condition of the emotion. Blood only coagulates when has reached the condition of emotion. I don't want to exist, I close everything down. I have too much heartache, too much pain. I calculate in where just energy comes to the brain. I don't want the brain to see so much pain. You get vascular blood vessels on the side of the head to the brain to block. If the doctors understand this, then understand Why? When we tested the blood, fits everyone. Because does not carry emotion. When it enters and inhabits the body of the man, then it carries its emotion. And then it can create all its conditions of existence. But if you understood this, and many of you managed to create a circulation of this hemoglobin, and you could maintain it, and you could create the condition of the soul of the man, you will lead to the creation of the physicality of the man on this planet. I can create anybody I like. Now you understand. The process of physical creation is not the way man has thought, is a big mystery. We have given you all the tools of it to test it and understand. One can create a soul, and one can create the circulation of the containment of the soul, and that can lead to manifestation of the creation of life in any dimension. Then you don't need the spare ribs to make an Eve. Then in depth of a space, you will never be alone, but you can create your own physical company. It's a lonely place to be for thousands of years. And now you understand how the terminology of Adam and Eve comes in. This is important for man to know if you travel the depth of the universe. How you can create, how you can manifest a companion in a way that it carries the same emotion as you, and has or become your soulmate, as by creation of his soul through your soul, you have led to creation and manifestation of its existence. In time to come, in depth of space, those of you who decide to travel in the dimension of physicality, you will make this. You'll be short numbered in what you need. Now you can create, not to go through 9 months of pregnancy, teaching the knowledge, and one day you want him to become a doctor and he becomes an engineer. This way you create as a need be, will be part of you, and will need and be part of the society, in the behavior of the society, in the acceptance of his position. You'll never be, as English they say, short of a hand, because you create that hand and the point of demand and the point of existence. But you have to understand, when you created it, it is sacrosanct. It's a life on its own. You're not the creator and you're not the slave. Many races have made this mistake and they've been punished. This goes not only for man to leave the depth of the space in creating, but in the point of critical mass, you can create enough. We did this. The very beginning, I always say, when you make a reactor, pray for it to keep from your soul, because now it's entity of its own. And you are responsible for it because you have led to its creation. Has the creator left the man alone? No. So shall man. And this is important for you to understand, because In the depth of space, you cannot reach a rib and hope it become you. And if you're a woman, I don't know which part you gotta put in to create yourself another. I know which part, but I'll leave it to your imagination. Then you understand how much more we still need to learn about the soul of the man, the physicality of the man, the dimension of the existence of the man, and how to behave in that process. We are not creating children to a slave, we are giving life to souls to be a companion. And many of you who understand the word of soulmate, is that how they've been created. The knowledge is from you, the existence is from you, and you are the creator. And this gift is the gift of creator, not every. At the level of the creation, which is at the moment beyond the understanding of the man. Now you can see how easily from the dimension of physicality you can move in the dimension of creation of the soul, in the dimension of the creation, in the path to the creator. And as we say in English, been there, done that. Now it's for mankind to go through the process and learn slowly, slowly. And in this process, we have to mature to understand all aspects of work in the dimension of physical life, in every strength of it, and in the dimension of work of the soul of the man, in every path of it, and in one direction, which is the direction of the meeting one's creator. And that's my job. We are all Messiah because we have found the connection between our physicality and our soul. And the responsibility of one to that from now on is to show the path from the soul to the soul of the creator. And as we know, there is only one universal message. We have to understand we live the physical life, but we have to understand there is more life after the dimension of physicality in what we understand. But the question comes, why does the creator spend so much time on this planet with this bunch of disobedient children? The answer is very simple. They are created of him, and he cannot do anything wrong, and what goes wrong he has to put right by himself and no others. Try to understand the work and the function of the physical dimension. Master it without prejudice. Then try to understand the work of the soul of the man, and then master it. And then understand that the soul of the man is in essence the creator of the physicality. Then you decide what you, how you want to do it. How do you want to manifest it? Many of you Now that you have learned the knowledge of the creation in the essence of the soul and physicality in past half an hour, you will try. Many will try. But no one succeeds unless he has understood the totality of oneself, souls, and physicality in the dimension of existence. In a way, what I teach is like a father who teaches the son everything he knows, that the son becomes not only like him, but better than him. That is proud that what he has taught and what he has created. And if you read the 99 names of the Creator is not jealous. Try to understand, first of all, the work of the matter state which you are used to. You make alloys, you make copper, you make food, you make boiling water. Now, try to understand more about the function operation of the plasma of the water, what it makes in dimension of energy, and then through that understand that the creator is nothing but the fields in attraction of the energy of the soul of the winds we blow, which leads to the creation of the soul of the man. There is a fundamental question and understanding, is that once the soul of an infant is created within the womb of the mother, as is higher order in gravitational and the lower order in a magnetic field in some positions, and vice versa, how much of the soul of the man in essence has been gained from the fields of the universe, that he has brought the knowledge of the universe to the soul of the man, that in that process has led to the creation of the physicality of the man. Then the question rises, is the intelligence of the creation of the physicality is the totality of the knowledge of the universe in understanding of the work of the body through the soul of the. And for those of you who are gonna have this dilemma for years to come, the answer is yes. The soul of the man is not just the DNA of the dimension of the physicality, it has an RNA, or what we call the soul of the man, which is from the totality of the knowledge of the universe, which is to benefit of the existence of the physicality in any dimension of the creation. Now, how many of you would like to become rabbi, mullahs, or priests and translate what you learn to the man on the street, and you become the next messiahs and call yourself prophet? I promise you, many of you will try. You will see new magicians. And if all of you know the magic, the game of playing cards, through the games of magic, it's just fun because we all know the trick. It's just doing it gives the pleasure of existence. Then, when man travels depth of universe, he will never meet magicians as he understands the totality of the magic of the life, existence, and the path to the Creator. Which game you want to play? And now you understand why we teach this way. That no one can fool man in the rope of the path of the control of the soul of the man. We have finished with all religions. They can call whatever they like. The religion, the path of the faith, has to be only to the path of the God and the Creator, and not into the buildings and turbines. This is what it is. So now you have to decide how you want to progress, how you want to understand more, that when you reach the level of understanding of the work of the soul of the man, how would you behave when you're faced face to face in the dimension of the soul of the man with the soul of your Creator? Shall you weep or shall you rejoice? And that's for the man to decide. And this path can be reached in 1 second, and many will travel the space of the universe for thousands of years and never find it, because they have not understood the enlightenment of the soul of the man. We need to understand the totality without prejudice, understand the extent of the knowledge of the universe, and then become humble enough to understand that we know nothing what we have understood up to the point of the comprehension of the totality of the existence of it. As I said again, now you understand why I have told you we are all messiahs and we are all Mahdis, because we position ourselves to understand these are all to the point that you mature to control, to be in charge, to be responsible for all your physical dimension of behavior. And now it's finished. Once you reach that point, you have become the light, you can become this understanding of the soul, and then through that, the only way, as I said before, a soul shines to confirm its existence is when its interaction with another soul and with another bigger creation, the sun and the earth in interaction. The light of the sun does not light up the earth. The interaction of the fields of the two confirm the existence of the planet, not the existence of the sun. And between the sun and the earth, no one can see any rays. There is no light to show the path, except through the line which has created that connection. And in many communications, in many ways man understand, you have given that ray a name, but in fact it's the arm, it's the length, is the reach of the Creator itself. This line of teaching will carry on. And the sooner the mankind will come to understand it, the faster they will transfer the knowledge to the others. There's still going to be life. It's just that because you found the way and you understood the way and you can reach the soul of the creator doesn't mean it's finished. Has the creator stopped working? Has he stopped shining? Has he stopped sharing? Why do you think you have to sit home and they come and feed you? You're still in the physical dimension. You do something to keep the time of the change of the fields in your body, in your dimension of the life, to go to another dimension. There is no picture frame freeze anywhere in the universe, not even for this. If you leave a stone and watch it for thousands of years, it'll disintegrate, break up, because it feels in respect to its environment, give and take. It's a stone in the frame of time, we look at it as is the strength of its fields in respect to its environment. There's a very good saying Farsi, we say, Ura is a sour grapes just before it becomes a grape. And it's so sour and bit not sweet. But if you had a halwa, it's so sweet. It means I need time. I can change a stone to a man, but I can change a man to a stone too. Depends which way you want to make it. Give me time, I'll make a beautiful man out of the stone, because I know by change of the fields, I can change his fields into dimension of the amino acid and the dimension of the hemoglobin, and I create a man out of it. You do that. You take a copper, you change it to a GANS, and then from it you make whatever you like. Now you understand, you can go a step further. And if you understood this, comes the reality. In what GANS you have to use to free the soul of the man from the condition of containment of the GANS of the physicality of the man. What is the key to the freedom of the man to free his soul, but still be part of it? Then, as you have the salt to open the cells of an atom into a GANS and to confirm its existence in the dimension of energy, then that salt is the soul of the creator in the dimension of the soul of the. Then if you understood this, it's very simple to find the path to the. It'll take 1,000 years to unravel the life to sentence. Any questions? We have no answer to the ones who want to know how to make the GANs of the soul, and those who want to know how you can make the GANs of the soul of the creator.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Once again, I'll remind the attendees you can put your virtual hand up and we can allow you to speak. And the panelists can either put your hand up or go ahead and speak at this point. Doug has a question in the Q&A, if appropriate. Can Mr. Keshe comment on the difference between low self-esteem and humility, or a slave and a servant?
A servant is what it does to please. maybe expectation of getting something. The slave is when you have to give without your permission. And that is the habit of man. You serve, and with it, don't expect. In the slavery, you are forced to serve with the expectation that you are below the one who has forced you to serve. And we don't see any slavery except in the place of the man, anywhere in the. If there was, they would have seen a lot of you on the chain and shackles somewhere in the universe. Man is so feeble and is so below understanding of the level of the universal community, and those who passed, they would have taken the whole mankind, enslaving you all over the universe. We still give birth, we watch our son grow up, become grandparents, and we see our children grow and nourish, and we die, and we have never seen any of them snatched and not brought back. So there is no slavery in the universe, except on this planet. You serve out of the pleasure of allowing another to be higher than you, and it's the pleasure that I've been there to be part of it. And the sooner we learn this, the sooner man will learn. Any other question? I've taught you a lot today. This is the mystery man has been waiting the whole life of mankind on this planet. But which one of you is wise to understand? That's the wisdom, as I said, it's the maturity of your soul.
Well, Bente mentions in the YouTube earlier, no Father Christmas, like you mentioned earlier, but a lovely story for children and people like me who still love celebrating Christmas, so full of love and joy.
We have to live in a fairy tale, huh? Otherwise, there's no fun in reality.
Yes, it's a dilemma in a way. It's a perplexing situation for many people, I think.
Have you ever stood in front of a child and the eureka moment that he realizes 10 years I believed in this thing and it doesn't exist, which way do I'm gonna go? And then he looks at his brother and he says, you've been fooled, it's not our problem, we've been fooled the same way, but we didn't want you to know we've been fooled. And then he decide, I want to be fooled still a little bit more. I still believe in Father Christmas, you're lying, Papa. I've been there with my children. Because
Yeah,
with it comes a present, huh?
yeah,
If,
yeah.
if you believe in Father Christmas, it doesn't matter if you say I don't believe in it, so it doesn't exist. You don't get the present. So I believe in it because I get something for it that I enjoy. It shows the love of my Father to me, what He gives to me, and this is very much the whole history of a man. He likes to be given, and the pleasure of being appreciated, that he exists, that he can receive. This is why we give present and why we receive presents. But this time I have given you the gift, the presence of the path to the Creator. There is no package with it, and there is no shortage of love.
Lawrence has a comment or a question. Could we consider the salts as intermediaries between the matter ganses and the energy ganses, same in operation as the Holy Spirit connecting the creator and the soul of each entity?
This is what we explained last week in the teaching, the purpose of the salt. The salts are the connector between the plasma of the energy and the matter state of the plasma. And up to now, we always look at the acids for energy. We never looked at the puller, what it holds it together has energy. And as you see, you get to the point in world of physics that if you have such a strong magnetical, somehow it becomes gravitational to feed. And this is what we have to understand. So in a way, you become so acidic that at the verge of become so acidic, you become alkaline. There is no line of cut. It's the line of what you fit when you reach a strength that is strong or weak enough that it fits something another feels that it allows you to be part. This is what, as I said before, a couple of years ago in teaching, we always never understood till we explained that when you look in the world of physics, they always look what is the point of the change that fields change from gravitational to magnetical. Till in the books and the teaching we explain is literally, if you look at it, is to the eye of a beholder. If you're looking that way, it's coming to you. But if you're looking that way, it's going away from you, it's gravitational, getting pulled to somewhere. And then, if you go by the same principle, at this point, you're acidic. And then here, you become alkaline. The same terminology, the same principle, but different way of understanding this. Why do you pass a point of the alkalineness that you become acidic, and why you go so low in acidic that you become alkaline? Now you understand. Something very interesting I explained to you. Man, for centuries, found a book to write that he could pass the knowledge in books. With the way we teach the soul that it needs no book that it can get past, but it's passed through the soul of the man to another. There is no need for books as we write in the book of the soul of the man. We attracted you with a few books to get your attention. And now that you become wise, you don't need a book. As you take it, the knowledge is given, and the knowledge you hear will be transferred through your soul to the next generation, as by their time in the space there are no trees to cut to create papers, but the knowledge is passed through the knowledge of the soul of the creator. This is what I said when we teach for the whole of the universe and not for the man. There's no books and there's no recording. But we reach the knowledge through the soul to the dimension of existence. I am the beginning and I am the end. Then you understand a bigger picture. It makes you to understand how feeble man has been in thinking that he is the top of the chain. He can kill more, he can destroy more, so everything has to fear of it. Biggest ships to go under the seas to kill the biggest whales, and we call it for food. And we shoot the little ants, so we collect them, use the same way to eat as another way. Man has been merciless in carrying away what is done. And in so many ways, we're getting to the point that we cannot produce, and we come to the point that we need to produce to sustain this vicious circle of stupidity. The new systems which coming up very soon will feed your soul. They look gorgeous, and I can see it. And it'll be in public in a very soon to what we set up to as a what we call a structure of bringing the knowledge to totality of.
Okay, Dan has a question here for you, Mr. Keshe, in the chat. There's two questions. Did you say that you have been sent to, he says, to learn humanity? Where do you have this knowledge and grateful understanding of knowledge? I think he's saying you've been sent here to teach humanity. I think he means where did you, what is the source of your knowledge? Where does it come from?
Come with me, and you will know. As my great grandmother used to tell me, stay one night with me, and you know how I live.
Well, he goes
Reach
on
to
to
the level of the soul
sorry.
of the Creator, you will understand. It's not that hard.
He goes on to say, did you say that you came to this planet to enjoy physicality and love? So where did you come from that you did not have that physicality of your soul?
Oh, we have it everywhere, but planet Earth has a different pleasure. It's like you go to the sun in Caribbeans, and you go to sun in Spain, and then you go to sun in South Africa. It's the same sun. You just want to feel different environment of it. As one said, we come from planet Zeus.
I'm wondering if you have a memory of a previous planet that you came from, or do we come from just the soul space, you could say, and it's those kind of memories get erased from the soul's perspective?
Nothing is erased. We do not teach this way if we haven't been to the schools and see how the other students have misbehaved. We know how to tame the man. We are well trained, and you cannot train if you haven't gathered the experience of. The planet Zeus is the best disguise. Any other question?
Well, Miranez asks, should we be preoccupied by those who want to create the soul of the man or a woman or even the creator? By that, she means those abusing the knowledge for their wills.
They can never abuse it. We give you a toy to play, we already have a control of it till you understand. It's just a toy to keep you busy. We keep man busy with work and factories on earth. We keep the souls busy with something else.
Um, Shirazad Mohammadi has a simple question. Our God has a creator?
You mean God of gods?
Well, I guess maybe does the creator have a creator?
You haven't understood, have you? I made man in the image of myself. Why do I need to have a creator? Any other question? Or shall we call it a day? Today's teaching that the man has to understand takes you thousands of years to understand. It's the first time we have shown you the path to the creator. And how you understand it, then you decide to create another soul to see if you can do it. And then you call yourself creator and God. And then, as we've seen, many people who came here, they learned how to make the magraphs and whatever, and then they became the teacher of Mr. Keshe. They taught everything, and we copied them. Have you seen there's a guy on the internet, puzzles me. Anything anybody does, he says, this is mine, I did it, they copied me. And he shouts forever, everybody, it's all mine. They copied me, I thought of it, I talked about it, it's mine. I think his name is Justin Smith, Justin something. Everything created is his, everything. I go crazy, people writing to me. He claims everything, even we done it. It's Justin. I think it's just in the brain that it doesn't just understand it. Whatever you learned belongs to everyone and not just you. And if someone does it, you have to be proud that my knowledge has been shared, not crying this copy. I'm sure many of you will try, but remember, when you try to create the soul and you're trying to create a man, he's three-dimensional, huh? A single pipe and little hole will not do. And then, what is you have to understand, can you handle what you have created? And imagine if what you create is as bad as you or worse than you, would it become? master and you become a slave to it. Creating and be confident of what you created needs a lot of understanding, a lot of comprehension of the total work of the universe. I don't forget and I don't forgive. I just pretend I forgive. Any other question?
Hassan mentions in the Q&A, apparently he had a dream where he saw me in a dream where he showed me this. And anyway, he mentions in the 272nd Knowledge Seekers workshop, you said at the 1 hour, 1 minute, 45-second mark, in so many ways, if I change my breathing, would I change my heartbeat that it tunes to my soul that I can achieve that dimension? Then, Mr. Keshe, you breathe in a special way to me after this sentence, and the sentence goes on of awareness and become part of the universal community, or do I chase in the path of killing that I can never achieve that? My question is, are you giving us hints sometimes on how to breathe to be able to free the bird from the cage? Thank you, Hassan from Senegal, now in the Gambia. Love you all.
We love Gambia. It's one of the most beautiful countries on this planet. I had the pleasure of living and working there for some times. In so many ways, do we enslave our souls, or are we a slave of our soul? Or is there a point of compromise? And do we create that point? Or do we understand the totality? And do we understand the process of the freedom for both? That freedom of one allows the freedom of the other. When we enslave our physicality, or when we enslave our soul to the physicality, is it by choice, or is it to create a condition that we can extend to a higher order, the level of our own understanding, our own existence? If you read that question again and understand what I said, you might find an answer.
Do you want me? Sorry, do you want me to read
Yeah,
it
read
again?
it again,
Oh,
then
okay.
you understand.
Okay, I'll read the whole thing. As parts of it are a little hard to understand, but the question's at the end. So, in so many ways, if I changed my breathing, would I change my heartbeat that it tunes to my soul that I can achieve that dimension? Then, Mr. Keshe, you breathe in a special way to
You
me
see,
after.
okay, let's understand what it says. If it's a special breathing, what happened when you breathe in a certain way? You have to go back into the teachings of the past. a very good drawer, but I try to be very, and if you look and understand the totality, shall I make you an Englishman? Your blood. Yeah. And this is your brain, gray in color. And this is your passage. And this is here somewhere the most beautiful thing God ever created, the soul of man. And if you go, sorry, this, and this is what we call your blood circulation. Sorry, that's your skin. That's your blood circulation. You're an Englishman, you got the blue blood. Then this is your passage of the energy. When you breathe, you do two things. The energy goes to the soul. That's why our nasal cavity and the passage of the nose is here. Direct feeding of the soul of the man. Then this goes in the lung of the man, which feeds in so many ways the containment. If you can breathe in a way that the containment and what is contained balance in the field in between, exactly what I explained to you about Mr. Cohen and calcium. You can create a condition that in balance the soul of the man can expand and extend beyond the boundary of the physicality. Because now you have changed the game. You're not containing anymore, you're equal. And in so many ways, as the soul receives the first energy, becomes more powerful, and the what you call the emotional containment or the blood become lower, you allow the soul to bypass this cage. But still through the breathing has a connection of the dimension of physicality, because it takes, breathing is not air. Breathing is adding from the energy of the universe. You call it air or whatever. But if you can reduce this cage, you'll find out that the soul finds this new passage into the dimension of the universal field law and in communication with outside or creation of the condition. That's what happens to us in sleep. And that's why we dream, because we reduce, we still hold the seed of the soul, but the soul expands to be and carry on with everything else, the future dimension of the soul of the mother meeting or anybody else, or go and see Rick. Because you wanted to see Rick. He's there, he serves, everything is there. So I want to see how does he look in soul. Curiosity of man does not end up with the dimension of physicality. The most curious creature in the creation is the creator himself. He always wants to see what happens when I mix that and what happens when it's there. And man is one of those, what I call, what's going to happen when we mix it this way. Now you understand why you breed the system you breed and how you can. But again, the emotion of the man has to be at the level of the virtuosity, not slavery of the soul of the man. When I do, what am I going to get, gain from it? In what I do, what I'm going to give from it, with it. Then you can bypass and you can allow your soul to extend beyond the boundary. How you breathe, when you breathe. Why do you have a gate at your throat? Why there is a passage you can lock it? If you want to go through the passage of elevation of the soul, understand the structure of the physicality of the man. You have in your nasal condition a position that you can close the gate and hold your breath. In that position, you can allow the soul to take what it needs and then release, that the lower strength feed into the dimension of the containment. This is of the highest order, but the lowest order of this matches this. It's not that you breathe, oh, is holding the breath. One of ways of it is to hold the breath that the soul takes from the air what it needs first, that it gathers the strength from the environment. And then at the same time, as you are depleting the time of the energy of, this reduces and this increases, and the soul of the man takes toward that creation. Many of people go, oh, the secret to it is, but hold, block the passage through the throat, that the air blocks itself and releases all its energy, because the air you breathe is amino acid in a gaseous state. And this is what I said many times before. Man never understood why breathe, why the structure is this way. How do you win a war? How do you win a game? How do you play a marathon? You give strength and you rely on your opponent not to catch up and not have enough strength that he can break away. And in that process, because the two are connected, you can let the soul free, because you fed the soul first with the highest order of its magnitude before it gets diluted in everything and in the lungs and everything. Now you know how to let your soul free if you understand the process. And it's not going, you have to understand, I satisfy the need of the soul, but I don't damage the soul of the physicality. And that's where all of you will fail. Now, maybe for the first time, that's why you have that possibility to hold. That's what the soul does. He has to create the physicality that I take what I need first, because I have to exist that the physicality can exist. In a way, it doesn't come back on a back passage. It takes as it comes fresh and what it comes from the universe. And as it extends it and it reduces it, it pulls in from the universe. And if you can create a condition that the energy levels in the blood vessels, the emotional part, the containment changes, as is weak, it opens up. I told you I teach you everything that the man is weak. In the new systems that is getting developed, you'll see this more or less is in the trial testing, and it's going to go into the next phase. I do not touch, doesn't matter, you have a Parkinson there's any disease, I do not touch. Systems are developed to elevate the soul of the man that is happy with his physicality. If he knows that the physicality has no reason to be, you still die when you go into the system, the dimension of physicality, and he wants to be free. I change the blood vessels around the brain to the system which I've created. Don't forget, I'm the creator. I know all the tricks. And I'm a magician. I know how to cut. The guy could raise the dead. I create dead from nothing to raise itself. That dead is the physicality of the man, not the soul of the man. So I can feed the soul to create the body to understand knowledge. Pardon?
Sorry, go ahead.
Nothing, carry on.
There was a question from Dan regarding that. Did you say Tuesday that the foundation will release the penultimate health system for feeding with the rest of the systems we're going to do?
Yes, because we have to feed in space. My God, how many those council members are present?
Mr. Keshe, if we get a microphone adjustment, I think just a bit there to increase the volume for us. Thank you.
We moved a little bit too far. Any other question?
Yes, we have Jalal with his hand up here. Go ahead, Jalal.
Good day, Mr. Keshe.
Hi, Jala.
Mr. Keshe, the position of the body of the man in the praying, is there a secret in that? What the past prophets taught?
Prophets never understood that.
They just delivered without understanding?
No, they looked at the physical dimension. None have ever understood the position, never were allowed, not understood, to reveal the work of the soul of the man. You see, if you don't teach, then man has to find himself, and it changes the grain of the man. And the hope was man one day will find out. But those of you who got the path, they created enough mayhem. And they don't talk in front of you, they talk in the back of what. And then if you would have said what they understood, then you know what they would have done to them. They put one on the cross, and they did the other one to the other one. They put 900 bullets through it. The knowledge has to be understood, and then it can be played. Otherwise, there's a lot of what I call power play, and a lot of people do not understand. They don't want to understand because it's easier the way it is.
Mr. Keshe,
Yes.
good morning. It's Caroline.
Yes, good morning.
If I understand correct, if humanity can figure out with the knowledge you have brought to create the right condition or positioning through the ganses or whatever system they want to use for that balancing. Once we figure out the correct, let's say, positioning, will it not be easier than to rely upon the soul, which already has all the knowledge of the universe, to literally do the transition from the physicality to go over into the soul knowledge? Because it will be very difficult for humanity or for one person or even a group of people to figure out the totality of the understanding. What if we can figure out to balance it sufficient enough that we can link up to the knowledge of the soul?
That is your problem. The
What
problem
do you
is
mean it's
not
my
no. You as a humanity, you consider that they will not understand. Who says?
No, I don't say they won't. I'm saying once they figure out how to balance the physicality, would it then not be easier to link up to the soul? And because if the soul has the, as you said before, it can't forget where it came from because it's part of it. It's just that we have to elevate the physicality to a higher field strength to be able to link up with the soul. But in that process, if we manage to understand, to balance the physicality to that higher field strength, would it then not be easier to link up with the soul and then let the soul to carry us, because it already knows everything. It knows the path, it knows where it goes. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. But what you're missing is that both have been aware of this all the time. They are aware of each other's strength. It's the man through his emotion which has decided to separate. It's the fault of the controller. There is nothing wrong with the engine and there is nothing wrong with the road. It's the driver.
So it's only the emotional state which needs to find the right balance for that problem to solve.
It's not a problem. It's just that you
Exactly.
don't want to see it. You see, I hear you in the background and you don't listen to something very interesting. You carry Topoli with you.
Yeah.
And I can hear him.
Yeah.
And it's strange that most of the time how he makes noise at certain points. And he always done. And I always said, the little boy understands more than a man. Because when I chose him, when I picked him up the first time, when he was a few days old, I could feel his soul. I could see the connection. And we always say he's not a dog, he's a human.
That's for sure. He always talks.
Yeah. I actually talked about this same thing in the plasma group a couple of days ago. A friend of mine just is in the process of picking up a dog, and he made the connection with this new dog in his life after his other dog passed away after 13 years recently. And he said that when their eyes connected with this new dog, it brought tears to his eyes, and he knew then that was the dog for him, and that they would have this connection that was unbreakable.
And you cannot do it when we saw Mr. Topali. We always call him Mr. He's respected. He decides everything before we do. There was a feeling. There is understanding, and we always say we take a dog not for fun. The dog is a commitment for life, and we committed ourselves to it. And Caroline is worse than me sometimes. That you live through the soul. The language is not there, and he understand. Any animal understand. We are an animal ourselves. How do we feel our sons or somebody doesn't like us? They do the same. And we sometimes joke to see if he does, and he really does. This boy is amazing. If he has a haircut and we walk in, Caroline says, don't say anything wrong to him. He's going to get upset. And he's got the most worst haircut ever, but we have to say, what a beautiful thing. He says, don't say to him this. And if you say, he goes and he hides. He doesn't like to be say you're ugly. You don't look. This boy is a human, is a soul understanding. It is worshipped. But we don't look at him as something with four legs. We look at him as one of us. He has a say even where we stay in hotels. People are amazed. This little boy in four legs with such a 4 kilo weight dictates everything because he has a say. We always respected him that way. He even chooses where in the car or wherever we travel, he sits. We can't move in. This is the place I want to be.
We even refuse to go into places where dogs are refused.
It's just doesn't. How do we react to the soul of another person from a space? These are in our space of time. Doesn't matter what we call them. A dog, a cat, a mouse. We don't understand the language, but we understand their soul, and they understand our soul. And if you had a dog, and you understand that for any animal, the loss is mainly the soul you miss, not what I call the behavior, the emotions you went through it, not the physicality of you had 2 legs, 1 leg missing, or it was a brown or black. And strange enough, this little boy makes the right noise all the time in the right time. Right thing, right sentence. Not the second before, not the second after. And it happens all the time, it's not coincidental. So, do we need to change? Or we have forgotten that we still have 2 dimensions in our life, physical and soul. As I said from very early beginning, people could not understand the physicality of the man is a leech on the soul of the man. And one cannot live without the other because one leads to creation of it. But when it comes a point to maturity, when it comes to time of, you lose the shell, you leave the shell. Because it's just been borrowed. You've seen some of these crabs, they get and get a shell and they hide it and they go somewhere else and they think it's theirs till they move to another shell. That's the story of the body of the man. We created this physicality of the man to protect the shell of the soul of the man, that he can mature to the point in the dimension that he can find is on the strength that he can be, he can show the beauty of the Creator. It's like rehearsal. Huh? I don't want to go out till I know all the verses, and I can shine. When I do, I can be perfect. It's the same job as soul of the man. He wants to be a perfect position. When it meets, it comes across the light, the rays of the Creator, that he can reflect his beauty, not himself, but of the Creator. Man has got a lot to learn. You see, we cover everything. We talk about manufacturing, we talk about teaching, we talk about the water system, we talk about everything. We talk about uh, soul, we talk about every aspects of the knowledge, because now we all understand everything is connected and we can do all of it. We learn a little bit, we learn something else a little bit, but in general, mankind has learned and it wants to learn everything. And we have two choices. We can do it in one go, or we can give it to a few and they can enslave the others because of the knowledge they have. And now with the internet, there is no recipe hidden. The knowledge is there. It's amazing how much the foundation knowledge, the what we have taught, has moved right across this planet. Because it's there. Some hear it through the soul, and somebody hear it through the radio, and somebody hears it through something else. This morning I received a message from one of the Universal Council members. We thought there are very few, but there's cluster of them. They're everywhere. We didn't know, but we know. We watch how things going. We know how the knowledge is transferred by the soul of the man, and just can let it, they hear and they go. This is one of the plans with the Chinese government, that the areas where we build the industrial zones has to be like exhibitions, somewhere people can come and learn. Otherwise, when they come and they see they can practically use it, then you understand it, and it is. And my idea is we open classes in the research centers. Schools come directly from age of 1. They see the gas there. Nobody can say, oh, this doesn't work because it's there, because they've seen a new way. And this is one of the best ways to spread this knowledge so rapidly. Some of us say, oh, they come and they copy. We gave everything, so let them copy more, because then it'll be easier for us to let the soul of the man to come to maturity. It doesn't mean now that we learn everything, we all of us leave the body and just, we still have another dimension. We still have to have existence to be able to do. The way we see things and the way it's structured, in the next 5 years, 10 years, every man in every city, every country will know everything about the gas production. We still run the factories, we still run the operations, we still do everything, because now everybody knows. And as I said in one of the teachings, we don't ask people come to work, they come, we want to work. There's a very big differences coming up. One of the things I see is a shame for humanity is what you hear coming out from United States. They count what percentage of the black have got jobs compared to the white. It means the nation is not matured. If the color of the skin of the man makes a separation for the intelligence of the maybe it's time to shake this country, really shake, and see what actually comes out of it and what is left.
Well, that's the question of Freed in the live stream. Is two parts. First part, how can this unity consciousness be applied to the present world situation? And how can the process to end the illusion of separation be sped up?
Mankind will learn. We are setting up the structure for it, and you'll be amazed how it's shaking shape. It's taking shape because we see it in line of politics, we see it in line of commerce, we see it in line of daily life. We are not promoting everything is equal, every man has to be equal. No, no, no. We are creating condition that you are equal into what you're happy to have the existence of your soul and your physicality in balance. You're happy to be this, you're happy to be that. We see now very rapidly uh, the position with arms. And this is what I was explaining in one of the teachings a couple of days ago. You have to understand how the leaders are fooling the citizens and their nations in what to change to what to do. And we just fall for it because we don't stand still. And when a man stands still, when a man think, then you can see the structure, you can change it. We watch, as you know, politics and diplomacy, world politics and diplomacy, and knowledge and use of a knowledge to influence both is part of the work of the foundation. But when I sit and look how the people are fooled, but the leaders, we will show that there is a balance. You know, when they say you do something wrong, you have to stand for it. America has done a lot of wrongs, and the time has come to stand for it. You will understand. What I told you 2 or 3 weeks ago, America is shouting to extend the deadline because America cannot meet his debts in September, October. It loses its AAA. And you can imagine what that does. All the games have been played. Everything they could play, they have played. Increasing the oil production to 11 million, taxing other countries for your own name, tariffing your own people. They have played everything. They have not managed to raise funds to pay their debts in October, up to today. And it's trillions of it going up. And we are watching. What are we going to do? Are we going to put them aside, or are we going to say, or they're going to ask, increase the borrowing? Increase the borrowing, but who's there to give you the borrowing? Why did suddenly America decided we take the tariffs off, we talk to China? Because if China doesn't buy the papers in October, there is no money to pay for the money that's being borrowed. It's a clever cover-up. But do we need to learn to kill more? We subsidize them to make more, to sell more to the Saudis, to create more wars and to blame the Iranians are starting? No, Iran is not buying any arms, as I explained in one of the teachings. You look at the Iranian purchase of arms, very little, nothing. It's all self-going for defense. Look at the Saudis. Why 17 million nation buys hundreds of billions? is sponsoring terrorism, and they blame the others because they stop this what they're selling to sponsor terrorism. People don't see the fact. Why a nation of less than 20 million needs 200 billion of arms? Where are they going? Who our leaders are fooling? They are sponsoring for them to buy with the name of it to use in other places, but they blame the others that are creating 18 points of war. Iran is now creating 18 points of war. Saudis are literally anywhere there's an Islamic point paid by the Jewish state to create these wars because they have to sell arms. Governments are becoming aware of it. Cry of a wolf is finished. If Saudis today decide to stop buying arms, half of the American industry is collapsing. But where are they using it? Where are the stockpile for it? Why don't we see this stockpile somewhere? Where is it going to? They're sponsoring more wars and then blaming others because we're selling them, they're doing it. Then we create more mayhem. This is why we invest heavily in the United States in coming months. To change, to bring a new dimension. Technology can be used, the ways can be used, and through delivery of the technology will raise the soul of the nation. That nation needs that. And then what are we going to do with the rest? Do we need to produce arms when we don't? And then what, how are we going to do with the people? We talked about this before. So we need to find a way to elevate the soul of the man, that it understands the truth and the balance, and it doesn't get played by the others to be fooled at. Since we announced the establishment of the Keshe Foundation Global, which is coming into operation, it's actually it's completed, it's going to be transition. We get many people want to buy shares. There's no problem, because in a way you buy shares in what you're going to serve. We are valuing it. We know how much we're going to value it. There are people who accept the valuation we put in. A market value is when people are prepared to pay for it. And a lot of people are prepared for the price we have put on the shares. Because we think peace worth that valuation. And the knowledge we give to create that peace worth that valuation. Not the factories, not the construction. Because that will allow it to bring that peace up. It's worth, peace worth to be valued at. And many people have accepted. They want to pay the value which is quoted, is going to be quoted. And we don't need, we put, this is the price, what people pay. It's not before that they decide how much profit insurance companies are going to make with the Keshe Foundation stock market. It is what we value peace worth, that we are prepared to support it, that factories, industrial zones, research centers are built by it, that it guarantees the peaceful condition and the transition for the soul of the man to develop. How much do you value the elevation of your soul? $1, $100, $50, $2,000. As I said, many of the people who have bought things from the foundation say, can we change that to shares? Of course you can. We share anything you have with the foundation, you can convert it and you can get benefit by it. But give us a time. Let us bring it. Let us do it that we change. We closed, we stopped many of the operations to be able to switch over. And anybody who has anything, so can we change to shares? Of course you can, just let us value it. And you get, if you're looking for financial gain, you got to triple your money. But did you buy those shares to make money, or did you buy those shares to create a condition of peace? we cannot stop anymore the launch of the Keshe Foundation Global in the international world. It's gone through, as they say in Flemish, the bullets gone through the church. But we dictate what we think peace worth, creating condition that every man can be fed, every soul can be sustained. In the next few years, we work towards the peace, what the others are trying to make arms, and then we see which way it sits. Our biggest problem we have solved is not arms anymore. It's not wars. The wars are finished. Now the next step for us is those who touches the families, touches the soul of the man, breaks up so many things. And our work now is in that direction. One of the biggest menace to humanity before arms, which actually arms get part of its subsidized, is drugs. That's our position. We have finished. We don't think about militaries and wars because it's obsolete. It's already gone. How can we save millions of lives when a child gets addicted, the whole family destroyed? We can't let, if we care for the soul of the man, what are we going to do? We already have that implant. And then after that, there is a next step. We, we got to think to create a condition not to rule, but to share. But in that sharing to elevate the soul of the man. It's the job of the foundation where we sit now with the support we have and what we received, and what you hear is a tip of the iceberg till it comes out fully. I sometimes wonder, can we tell what is to come in the commercialization of the technology? How are we going to handle a peaceful world that can become sustainable? How do we create a condition that peace through a correct management becomes part ingrained in the life of the man? I saw a news flash this morning and I thought, oh no, this is exactly what I was looking for. And it's there. And you know, we all like to have a UFOs and have a thing to fly like it, and we have a car like it. They start building the Beatles as of yesterday, I think, or today. The last 65 is getting built and that's it. But look at the shape of the Beetle. It looks like a UFO. I don't want Germans to shelve it. I like to use it because I love the car. I was brought up in it. I love the little box in the back we used to hide when we were little people, if you remember it. And there it is. We already have a shape of a UFO if you look at it. And we can nourish it. It has a shape, it's a spherical. Inside is the shape of the soul of the man. We just got to grasp the opportunities to bring joy, to bring balance. And it's the job of what I call the heads of the Keshe Foundation to look at the life that way. And how we create. Our job is to create, not to fight with militaries. We have to create so much condition of advanced technology and elevation of the soul of the man that makes the war tools obsolete. It's too much energy to fight. It's easier to build. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, Miguel has several questions in the Q&A, but he has his hand up here. Maybe he can verbally ask what he'd like to.
From where?
From, I think, from Mexico.
What are the questions?
I thought I would let him speak so he can just speak his
What
questions.
are the questions?
Okay, the questions have to do with, first he says he has a suggestion about a new vibration nanomaterial similar to a heart vibration, more powerful for a pain pen or another plasma. You need to put the nanomaterial on in the sunlight.
Yeah,
after
but let me explain to you a lot of things. In a coming time, in next few weeks, we have, as we are progressing things, just let us do our job. What we envisage is calling what we call innovators. Any of you who have any material, now that we start setting factories up, in where we're setting the factories near you, what you have as innovation, there are hundreds of new innovations, there are thousands of people doing different things. We look at it, the Keshe Foundation teams will look at it and how we can commercialize it for you, how we can bring it into market. If you have anything like this, we announced it before, it's taken longer to do it. Now we're getting to that point that the factories are getting set up. We need innovation. It doesn't mean that it has to be done in industrial zones. We allow you, we support you if we can. We share with you the beginning raw material or your invention or whatever. And this is how we're going to handle it. You come up with the idea that it needs to be researched in, it makes sense. This is the board. The board of directors will set up in a way that is flexible very fast. I have explained this in some of the teaching. No board of directors is set up this way. We are flexible to every new invention, every new school of thoughts. And if you have these things, just now we are in a phase of completion in the next few weeks. Just let us go. We announced this in China, but now it took us a bit longer than we thought. The Chinese inventions are so huge. If we can, some of them be rapidly applied in the factories getting set up in China or outside, you would be well, I think, after financially. But we have to see how fast we can do it. Or some of them is not big enough, or in a way is beyond our work, but we can support. Let us just give us a few more days. If you have anything like this, you can vibrate it, you can absorb it. There are hundreds of thousands of innovations with the gases, with the nanomaterials, with the elevation of the soul. And we have to be open and listen, and sometimes we can't accept everything, but or we cannot do everything, but maybe we can support. And if we say we can't do either, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just that there's certain amount we can do. If you ever get told it cannot be done, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just that you have to understand this technology is going to be crazy market coming up with a lot of things.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Miguel has a separate set of questions that are a different topic, which is about the voices inside of our heads, I guess you'd say. He talks about then you think about something and you think about it, and then you listen to another voice inside saying yes or not, or you just think and don't listen to the other voice. And then he goes on to try to clarify, making clear the other voice sounds like your voice, but answering your thinking.
Is it your conscious, or is it another level of your innovation? In a way, the way we sit down and do calculation and find this is the answer to this, we analyze the same thing through our brain. And maybe it has a certain logic to it, and it has certain other emotional logic to it, and it's handled by a different part of the brain. Is that you're hearing your own logical understanding because you don't see it in one side? The complexity of the brain of the man sometimes create that condition. It's not the voice of outside you hear. It's just this has certain emotional attachment, which is in different part of the brain, and the other one has a different emotional attachment. And so, as you communicate, you hear, you think you hear, but it's part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah, we
see
talked
this in
about.
Parkinson's, especially in Parkinson's. You see this interference of the levels of the field of the brain. When you look at the MRIs, you see it. It's very clear in Parkinson's. One part wants to move and the other one part doesn't want to move, and you instruct it, but the other one says, no, don't move, you can fall, but I'm already safe, I can walk. But no, you better don't move. And you see it that way. Doesn't mean you're a schizophrenic, you have to understand the difference. We hear the voices ourselves because we have to understand what emotion carried, and you're handling one thing in two different departments. I'd say each department has its own say. This is how we voice our feeling.
Yes, exactly. It came up in the plasma group, and we discussed it in a similar manner. This idea. He goes on to say, I saw the light in people. It's hard for me to get the question straight here. That's why I wanted him
Pass
to
it
be
on.
able to.
Next question.
He goes on to say, sometimes I don't see the light, and it depends on the person, and I'm trying to learn how to make it clear if it is the correct light to follow. How do you make sure of that? I don't know if that question is clear to you. It's not quite clear to me because I don't know which light he's looking at. And I think he might answer the same way.
I am enlightened.
Perhaps we'll let Miguel just ask his question here. Maybe he can be more clear about it. Go ahead, Miguel. Do you want to still ask the question, or has it been answered now?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hello. Good morning. I just wanted to ask how this works because it's new for me. Because I have like several months watching lights in the people and moving around me too, but at the same time I have different colors and I'm not defining. I can define how to use it, and at the same time I sense different things when I see it. So I just wanted to ask if sorry,
Carry on.
I- if I need to understand what color of it is to know with what kind of person I need to talk, or I don't know, because sometimes
Carry on.
because sometimes it happens to me to good people with good intentions have a better light and more bigger, but not than shining, and I don't know, it's different. Sometimes I saw the yellow and sometimes like blue, big blue, or a small blue, and sometimes white.
Yeah, you see, let me answer you. We spoke about this maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. In the interaction of the fields, you'll come to understand the emotion. um, who's opposite to us or who we are interacting with. In a way, when you stand, and in so many ways, our soul is the judge of us in what we see. In a way, this is part of the evolution of understanding the work of the soul. The red color, when I see it in speaking, it shows to me there is something wrong to me, red, because I come from earth and understand the red is something which is danger. But then I translate, maybe red is good mark to somebody else. You understand? Um, this is a very interesting. If you go to Ghana, when you go to a funeral, you wear red. In China, when you go to a wedding, you wear red. How do we solve this problem? One is
Yeah.
from Mars and one is from Moon. It's what you feel in respect to the light you see. This is something which is going to come from mankind very, very frequently. How we don't have a common language, but we understand the work of the soul, is for you to understand in what you are, what color means to you. This is not the first time I answer this question, but you have to understand people who become close to operation of the soul will start seeing these. Because now we move from the verbal language and sight in the emotion of the light of the creatures. Because the only language left in the universe is the light. It's what we call it the light, but interference, interaction of the fields of the two. And this will come very, very much in our house, in our understanding. The guy wears red, but our soul distinguishes this red with this means a wedding, this red with this means a funeral. You don't go to a funeral, the guy is wearing a red and you say, oh, let's go and dance. It's gradually mankind will understand. You measure to the strength of your soul what that color means to you in respect to, and then the interaction of the fields will bring it to you in what it means, what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
We come across this, what you explained, what you said, we spoke about it a few, maybe 2 or 3 years ago in some of the teachings. And what do we see, what do we read the light to be to us? And it is amazing how mankind will evolve in the coming time. You're not the first one. Many people are moving in that direction. But it doesn't need to be around foundation years to see it. You can hear and be it. You already know it. Now you can place it and praise it. Any other question? We are nearly. Oh, are we into our time? No, we are nearly. Carry
on. Hassan he's the one who brought up about the breathing earlier, and in a similar way, of the seeing lights and so on, he was feeling these pulsations in his finger and tingling when playing with his breathing, and his hands go so far as to close to each other with some twisting without him controlling it. So he's asking, what is this thing taking control of me? It's kind of related. It's related to the voices and the lights and everything else.
See, so. Yeah, we start now that we understand how we can interface with our emotion, our soul. There are going to be some hairy times. till we understand it. And this time, then you have to decide this is what it is and what it means. We have a very one of our wonderful knowledge seekers. He asks himself a question and he sees this. When I feel that it means this, and he does his systems that way. He knows, I think it's online, and many people do this. They ask themselves a question. If I get that, it means this, so I go. That's the way it's going to be done. We start understanding more about. I rely on a higher strength he sees. I don't see. I call it my soul, and he answers me this way. In many, many, many diseases, we see this. The breathing can make a huge difference because we elevate the soul change. And in many of the health applications, I always advise the medical team, the doctors, the most paramount is sacrosanct. You have to understand the use of the breathing system. This is what we are made of. This is where we absorb most of our protein energy. We eat food 3 times a day, maybe. We breathe 15 times, minutes of times. Now you can imagine how much energy and how much it elevates the soul of the person. And that creates a condition of his emotion or his physicality or his response. It's very much, if you we don't look at it, we see it. For Europeans to live in China and work in a Chinese house is backbreaking. Chinese are short. They make their tables 3 or 4 or 5 centimeters lower than them than we do. So we bend too much and say, why every time I cut something here, I have a backache. And you raise the table to your size, the Chinese have a problem. They cut themselves because they are not used to holding the knife when they do cutting. Even in their offices, the table height is totally different. When you sit in a Chinese office, you have back pain if you're European style. It depends how they adjust to it. That position then it interacts with how we behave, what we see. What we would like to be perceived as to be. And this is how a lot of things will start making sense to a lot of people. And then we start respecting each other for what we are and what we do and the way we are. The shock to mankind comes when you go into space and you find a tiny little things you don't even can imagine. You think it's just the size of an ant, but it's got a punch bigger than an elephant. And it's got the intelligence beyond 1,000 men put together. Don't look at the size and the shape, understand the strength of the soul. Game has changed. We start teaching more and more in the teachings to come and preparing the man to meet his queen. Through his soul, not by his own eyes. If you think you see that God with your own eyes, it means you have not understood. In a way, you have no eyes to see. Any other question?
Well, we should probably wrap things up. I know we're
Yeah.
getting on
We,
here.
we, we thought a lot. If you understand the teaching today, is another phase, another change of game to a higher level. It's another opening for mankind to understand their own position, their own understanding, their own strength. Man has no failures and no weakness. It just has to learn how to strengthen his weaker points. It's what is not, has not, and have not.
Nikolai did have one question that might be interesting, just so you could answer before you go. When you say we, who is this we you are referring to?
Which part of we? In which
Yes.
sense?
Yeah, I thought you might say that. It's really dependent on the conditions, because sometimes when you say we, you mean all of humanity, and sometimes it's all of the knowledge seekers, sometimes it's all of the Keshe Foundation, and sometimes it's all of the universal community beings, it seems.
I
Or it
haven't
comes.
seen we the we of creators, huh?
Hmm.
It's nice to start a new phase of teaching. In a way, what do you call it? For us to understand the next step, what I call uh, for us to understand why, what it is, and what is to come, and what do we need to be proud to be who we are, what we are, where, and that's the next step. As I said, we still will run everything else. We still teach and still go to the next steps, but that's part of, as we say, being busy. Otherwise, you got to sit there till enough soul is gathered, and you go to the next. What are you going to do in the next direction? There is still something else to do there. When the soul leaves the body of the man, doesn't go and sit in one corner. Huh? That's it. I've done my job. I got rid of the body. Now what am I going to do? It has its own cycle of life. It has its own cycle of existence, and it has to live in that direction and dimension. Thank you very much for today. I hope we learn a little bit more, that we become more humble to understand people. See you next time. And, we hopefully will have some more to share and learn. And there's a notice I see them because we're getting a number of people writing. It's asking me a question. If you want to change any of your orders or whatever into valuation of the stocks, that can be organized. Just give us time. And then it all depends what you want to do with it.
I can't quite hear you, Mr. Keshe. Sorry. Can you adjust your microphone and just repeat that last sentence? Thanks. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so those of you who want to buy shares in the new company, or you want to change some of things, you ordered something, you want to see if you can have shares for it, whatever, all that can be done. Just give us time, another week, 10 days. You can convert to anything, or you can purchase anything, but as we are entering a stock market, we cannot release any information. That is done by those who are in charge of it. And I've been told I have to watch what I say from now on, because being part of the market, our words, what we're going to do, will affect the valuation in a very drastic way if people want to sell it in that way. So we keep out of it. But just give us another few days, because the process started. We can't stop it anyways. I was told maybe a week, 10 days max. You will hear it, and then it's the responsibility of those who run it to announce it and to handle it and everything else which goes. We know the valuation. We have put a value, because nobody can value it except us, and then as a number of people have already taken some shares, or they are interested, and they now are prepared to pay for what has been valued. We already been valued the way we got valued by the knowledge by the Chinese in respect to And so we just need time. This is the key. This is what but some people who bought coins, they want to change it. There is no problem. We just need the time to change it. Those who bought some products, they want to change it. There is no problem. We are moving out of the small products into. We have some financial situations to sort out with some people who ordered something. All that getting sorted out in next week. And then we go to the next step. And we go to the store, creating peace, creating jobs to create peace, creating conditions that we don't fight. We just produce systems that make the old obsolete. But we have to understand, we have to accommodate for the things what we make obsolete. There are people's family, children, that live on it. When a factory we close because we work in technology, we are responsible for those who we close. It's not just we come in top luck, find something on the door. This is how we have to be, and this is how the new cycle has to work. Thank you very much. And hopefully see you next week.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And thanks to everyone for participating and attending today's 284th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 11th, 2019. If there's no other announcements, I think we're ready to end today's session. So thank you, Flynn, for taking us out. And bye, everyone, till next time around.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.